Live from the Dr. Jerry Henderson Radio Complex, it's time for Card Guys. And now, here's your host, Anthony Schulte.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael, for the intro as always, and welcome to Card Guys Detroit Sports Talk, Season 4, Episode 8. Coming up today, the Super Bowl has commenced with Philly taking home the Vince Lombardi Trophy last night. The Detroit Pistons are back above 500, but that is not without their faults. And the Red Wings are heading into the Nations game break. What do they need to do to close out the season? I'm Anthony Schulte. Joining me as always is my man, Ryan Donnelly.
Mustard! Kendrick Lamar, he performed last night at the Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
And hope your weekend was good. My weekend was fine. We got a great show for you. It includes the Pistons, and I have some comments about the Pistons, and
well, we all have some comments
hopefully
on the
I can
Pistons.
get them out today. So we have a great show for you.
Yes, we are. And right next to me, Mr. Michael Rosenkranz.
Well,
I'm gonna do something real quick.
uh-oh.
Yep.
As I see him boosting my microphone levels. Hi, everyone. Good to be here on a Monday. I obviously don't sound the best right now because I had a wonderful time in Huntington, West Virginia, broadcasting CMU women's basketball over the weekend. And if you want to know the reason why I sound like this, well, I just have a clip for you. Roll it.
Final 10 seconds in regulation. CMU looking for a stop. Mays inbounds to Hayes. Gets to Kelly into the right wing with 8 seconds. Kelly in for the tie. No! Rebound Lawson! And she's fouled with 3 seconds to go!
Michael, the Chippewas are one free throw away from completely sealing the deal.
And wouldn't you know it, it's Lawson going to the free throw line again. She was granted one more year of eligibility a few nights ago. It was such a joy to her teammates, and she's coming up big, trying to come up big here. Lawson fires. Dagger! 72-68, CMU over Marshall. Lawson will try again. On the way. It's good! Timeout, Marshall. CMU's got a 5-point lead, 73-68.
I still get chills every time I watch that, dude. It was...
I watched the clip. It was not only you, but the actual 4-point play. That was crazy.
It was probably one of the craziest plays I'd ever seen. You talk about a 6-0 run by Marshall to start the fourth quarter. Coach Haney needs a timeout, and we just look lost. Shots were not falling for the first 4 minutes. The only bucket we got in the first 4 minutes was a free throw. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was 63-55 at most, or 64-55. So it was a 9-point deficit. In that entire fourth quarter, it was, out of the timeout for us, a 19-7 run to come back to beat Marshall. Incredible. We'll touch on the players in a little bit, but we got a good show for you today.
Yes, we do. Let's start with our 3 stars. Ryan, go ahead and get us going here.
Of course. So, my 3 stars. My third star today goes to my forever star. He will forever and ever always be a star, not only in my heart, but most likely on this show. He won't be my star every show, but he's been a constant star for me, Malik Beasley.
He's only number 3?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm interested to hear the rationale.
All right. On Friday, he had career numbers, 36 points. Oh, career numbers and points. He had a career night in points, 36 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 turnover.
Straight buckets.
Straight buckets, you're correct. He obviously filling in for Cade Cunningham. We'll talk about it later in the Pistons segment. But, yeah, he filled in for Cade Cunningham. He was the main scorer on Friday. The Pistons, we'll talk about them in a bit, but started off with a 30-point lead. And then they started to chip back. Well, we kind of expected that from a healthy Sixers squad. And then obviously, and then we beat them by 12. So a win is a win is a win is a win, but not in my book. So that's Malik Beasley. My second star goes to Josh Sweat of the Philadelphia Eagles, who last night against the Kansas City terrible football team, two solo tackles, 4 assisted tackles, 2.5 sacks, a total of 6 tackles in total. He was on fire. He was the best defensive player for the Eagles last night, and he had a fantastic game last night in the Super Bowl. And my first star goes to the Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts, who last night 17 for 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and 77.3% completion rate, a 119.7 quarterback rating, and QBR 75.4. Solid stuff from the Super Bowl MVP. Better than Mahomes.
He did outperform.
Outperform Mahomes,
He outperformed
which
Mahomes.
it makes me happy. So
I think all of America is very happy after that.
yes, we'll talk about the Super Bowl in a bit. But Jalen Hurts gets my first star, and those are my 3 stars of Monday.
All right, so I'm going to kick off with an honorary star. I'm going to go with Phil Myers of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He finally, and I mean finally, got his first goal. He's a defenseman, so obviously defensemen don't score goals as much, but he's been in and out of the lineup quite a bit, and we don't really know why. It's kind of been rumored to be on the trade block, and when the headlines were kind of all surrounding his name, he could be on the trade block, he comes in and scores a goal from just in front of the blue line. It was actually a really long chance against the Kraken, and it was really nice. So Phil Myers finally got his first goal. All right, my third through first star is going to be all CMU women's basketball with their 2 performances. My third star is going to go to Maddie Morrison. I'm just trying to think about how to order these. So on Wednesday against Ohio, Maddie Morrison, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal. And she also had a block as well. That game was her 4th straight performance of 20 or more points, the 6th of her career. And on Saturday against Marshall, she had 18 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, a block, and so that streak, unfortunately, was broken. But, as you just saw in the clip, she hit a 3-pointer to tie the game and put in the bonus when she was fouled to give the Chippewas the lead. Arguably the clutchest play to tie the game other than Jess Lawson's free throws. We'll get to that in a moment. Second star is going to go to Ayanna Darrington at Ohio. On Wednesday against Ohio, 21 points, 12 rebounds. She had a couple turnovers. She doesn't really get assists as much. Didn't have any steals, didn't have any blocks. But that game was her birthday, and she got a career high in points at the time, 21, and a double-double on her birthday, which was fantastic to see. Then against Marshall, she set a new career high in points with 22, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. And it was solid from Ayanna. And she just continues to show why she's one of the most highly touted freshmen on this team. And it's been really awesome to see her flourish alongside other freshmen like Maddie Morrison. My first star, Jess Lawson, the senior out of Las Vegas. On Wednesday, 10 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. First triple-double since Michaela Kelly did it in 2021. Outstanding stuff. And after that game against Ohio, I was sitting at Soaring Eagle having some dinner. And I saw in my story that Jess Lawson was granted 1 more year of eligibility after that game. The reaction to her with her teammates was fantastic. I was going nuts eating my dinner. So, Jess, I hope you stay here at CMU because you are one of the best leaders on this team. And on Saturday against Marshall, season high 22 points, 14 rebounds. Keep in mind she's only 5'7", and she's averaging very close to a double-double. CMU is the 14th rebounding team in the NCAA right now.
Wow.
So, and on Saturday against Marshall, 57 rebounds. 57. So, very impressive stuff. Jess hit the final 4 free throws of the game to seal the deal. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, the reason why I don't have a voice is because I was broadcasting the game, and how could you not get excited when your team goes on a 19-7 run to beat Marshall for the first time in 20 years? Mm-hmm. Outstanding stuff. I'm taking a long time. I apologize. Those are my 3 stars.
You're good.
There you go. It's all good. It's all good. All right, my 3 stars, I'll go through this quickly. My 3rd star, through lots of debate, I was really going through a lot of great performances in the association this weekend. It was between Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves. I'm going to give it to Austin Reeves solely because he played the whole game, and I think he was more critical to his team in their win. Anthony Davis, to give him credit, had a historic first quarter in his first quarter as a Maverick, but in true Anthony Davis fashion, he got injured. He's out for a month.
In the words of Derek's roommate Joe, Anthony Davis by day, Anthony Day to Davis in reality.
Yeah, and Day to Davis is the popular nickname due to his injury
off.
designations around the internet community for basketball fans, which sometimes is a very not so friendly place. But I'm going with Austin Reeves as my 3rd star against the Pacers without LeBron, without Luka, and they don't have a center now. 45 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists on 14 of 26 shooting. Just an incredible performance from Austin Reeves. He is now, I think, what was it? The second Lakers point guard all time with 45 points in a game.
I think so.
And the only other one is Magical Johnson.
I assume so, yeah.
I think that's the stat that I saw. So Austin Reeves gets my 3rd star. My 2nd star goes to Tobias Harris. A couple really good stretches for Tobias. A couple good games in the last couple games. Against Philadelphia, 22 points, 9 rebounds on 8 of 16 shooting. Didn't even attempt a 3. And then we have yesterday's performance. I just clicked a LeBron emote on accident. Yesterday's performance, 20 points, 4 rebounds, and assists on 9 of 13 shooting. Started off the game, I think it was 6 of 6 or 7 of 7 from the field. Really good basketball from Tobias. 301 now career games with 20-plus points. Great performance from him. Really key in our last couple wins here, just being a consistent presence on the floor. Can't forget his game against the Hawks where he had 22 points also, and that recent stretch of games where he's just been really good. My 1st star is Cooper DeJean, a self-touted, quote-unquote, exciting white. That's what him and Reed Blankenship call each other in the Eagles secondary. Well, he had a pick 6, and I'd say it was a pretty important pick 6 too. Really turned the tides in the game yesterday. So there goes his phone.
Sorry about that.
And that's my 1st star.
On his birthday too.
On his birthday, they get a Super Bowl ring. Speaking of that Super Bowl, we have to talk about it since we're a sports program. Blowout. As the kids would say, BTA is what you'd consider that. There's not really much to say. I'd say this game for the Eagles was won in the trenches.
Oh, easily.
The line play from both their offensive line and defensive line is what won them this game. You could talk about Patrick Mahomes all you want. You could talk about the Chiefs' very bad offense all you want. That was that defensive line getting pressure and annihilating the already pish-posh, we could say, offensive line. It was won in the trenches. The Eagles, both of their lines played outstanding. One of the best offensive lines in football. Defensive line playing like one of the best defensive lines in football. And then you have your skill players and your secondary coming in to help. Jalen Hurts, as you mentioned in your star, incredible throw to Devonta Smith.
That was the
dagger.
That was the dagger. Nail in the coffin.
And you even said when we were watching, you said, "Is this the dagger?" And then he caught it. Yeah. And that was beautiful. And then you have, great play from the secondary, a lot of great PBUs. Of course, that pick six. 2 picks, I think, Patty Mahomes threw.
Two pick sixes?
No, just 2 picks.
Oh, 2 picks, yes.
He had 2 picks. 1 was a pick 6.
And then a couple fumbles, too, correct?
Yes.
So they really got to Mahomes, made him uncomfortable, made him make a few plays that he's not really comfortable with, and, the offensive line kind of failing in the moment. The Eagles' defensive line really playing well. It was just a recipe for disaster, and a disaster it was. The game got out of hand pretty quick. The Eagles, they could have been up 24 or 27-0 instead of 17-0 at one point. Missing a few opportunities, but they eventually got those opportunities back and capitalized on them. Chiefs got a couple late-game touchdowns just to make the score look a little bit prettier, make the car wreck look a little less disastrous. Really, really bad way for the Chiefs to go out this season if you're Kansas City. The ref ball, there was barely any. There was maybe 2 questionable calls. That was an incredibly officiated game, I must say.
One of them was at the very beginning of the game with that
the first flag
with that OPI.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which it was, but if you're going to call that OPI, you got to call what the defender, when the defender was grabbing at the jersey, you got to call that DPI if you're going to call grabbing at the face mask OPI, so then the penalty's offset. But I digress. It was still a wonderfully officiated game from Ron Tolbert, who is notoriously known for giving the Chiefs calls. So good job from the referees. There was no rough ball. It was all strictly football, and Philadelphia was the better team.
Yeah. You hit the points pretty much. The Eagles played their best game ever, in my eyes.
Best game of the season,
best
no
game
doubt.
of this. Oh, by far, 100%. Didn't expect this game to be a BTA. Probably the worst Super Bowl I've seen since Super Bowl 53. Was it Rams Patriots? Is that 53 or was that 52? I think it was 53.
I want to say, I don't know. It was one of the
it was
50s.
53. It was 53. Anyways, I digress. Didn't expect it to be a BTA. I thought it would be a lot more competitive than I thought. But still, I'm happy that Slay got a ring. I'm happy
Saquon.
Saquon.
Imagine being a Giants fan right now. They did shut down Saquon, though.
They did. But
Saquon
he did not have a good game, but he still got a ring. But the Giants GM should win Super Bowl MVP because letting Saquon walk.
Yeah.
All they needed was a running back, and they could be running this league for years, and they did.
If it wasn't for Tommy DeVito, they would have Jaden Daniels and probably Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, this kind of sets up the thing that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are probably never going to three-peat ever. This is their one and only chance to three-peat, and they didn't three-peat. They're not going to make another. They're probably not going to win back-to-back Super Bowls for a little bit because now you have teams in the mix like the Eagles and the Bills and the Lions who are just going to be competing neck and neck for you. So now that the Eagles win, it kind of shows that the Chiefs are not indestructible. They're not the Death Star. They're not the evil empire. They're just another football team. And the Eagles kind of proved that last night. So that kind of makes me realize the Lions have a chance to win next year. I'm delusional. Anyways.
But would this Lions team beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship?
I think fully healthy, yes.
I'm talking about the way they were. If they were to beat the Commanders, with the roster, how the roster was, and the injuries, how the injuries were, do the Lions beat this team with Saquon Barkley?
If they're fully healthy, yes.
I'd say not.
I just said not fully healthy.
Oh, not fully healthy.
The way the roster was, the way the injuries were after the Commanders game, would they have beaten the Eagles?
No.
I want to always say that I believe the Lions will win, but I think it would be very tough for the Lions to pull out a win against this Eagles team, the way they've been playing.
I never root against the Lions. I'll never bet against the Lions, but I think if they had the injuries on the defensive line and they have the injuries just all over the place, they're not winning this game against this Eagles team.
If Aleem was healthy, I'd say yes.
If Hutch was healthy, I'd say yes.
I mean, Aleem McNeil, he's a great defensive run stopper, so I mean, with Saquon Barkley, you need a run stopper in there. Without Aleem McNeil, it's really hard to stop the run. And and our secondary also is a little banged up as well without Carlton too. So.
Yeah, I mean, still, besides the point, you make up a good point. Eagles get it done in the biggest stage of them all. But I think the real Super Bowl MVP was not Jalen Hurts. It was not the Giants GM. It wasn't the ref crew. It was Kendrick Lamar.
Drake got annihilated on national television. It was...
Yeah.
When you have Serena Williams...
That was messy.
Crip walk on your grave... That you're dead.
For context, Serena Williams is his ex, I'm pretty sure.
I think he stalked her. I don't know. I saw something like Drake stalked and talked to Serena Williams, and now she's grip walking on his grave.
Someone said, "Imagine your ex crip walking on your grave" on Instagram.
I think they use that as a metaphor. I don't think.
Yeah. USA Today confirms what I said. Yes. This is journalism, folks. This is journalism.
Yeah.
That was a good. A lot of people didn't like the halftime show. I
loved it.
I think the
only complaint that people have is that he didn't really go deep in his bag for classics, but he played a couple. He played Humble. He played DNA. He played all of his classics.
I think he had to go back a little bit farther.
I think so too. But to be fair, he did play all of his classics when he did the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And
it was also advertised that this was probably going to be because the advertising was him leaning up against that car.
It was going to be all mostly GNX songs, which I was not surprised.
I can't believe he actually. A lot of people didn't think that he was going to go as far as he did with "Not Like Us," and doing that to Drake, but he did it.
Kendrick Lamar, what he said, say Drake. That evil smile. It's now the face of my new rap playlist I made last night. I thought that was so sinister. That was sick.
Well, he knew what he was doing, and then when he got the whole crowd singing with you, and then that was a good performance in my humble opinion.
That was really, people don't like it, but most of the people that I saw loved it, so I'm on their side. I loved it. As a Kendrick Lamar fan for years, I was very satisfied. The only complaint is he didn't really go deep in his bag, but with his songs. But I think no matter what, it was really good. I think GNX is a really good album, nonetheless. But good concert from Kendrick Lamar and SZA too. Shout out SZA.
She was good.
She was good.
Michael, real quick.
Yeah, you make a good point about the trenches. Almost every single run, I saw the Eagles attacking directly in the middle. Sirianni and his coaching staff must have saw a weak spot in the Chiefs' defensive line that they attacked every single time, it seems like. And they weakened them. They just weakened them. And on the biggest stage, and it felt so good to see this, the Chiefs utterly choked in the Super Bowl. And it was awesome to see.
That first half was rather confusing.
Yeah.
You didn't expect that from the Chiefs. Disastrous of a start.
No, not at all. It was, 24-0 at the half?
Yeah,
I think so,
Yeah, 24-0 at the half. I was texting a buddy of mine back home, and he's just like, he didn't watch the Super Bowl because obviously he's a big Lions fan too. We all are. And lots of Lions fans did not watch the Super Bowl.
I only watched the Super Bowl because of the program today.
Fair enough. But anyways, the Chiefs choked on the biggest stage. I will say, with Taylor Swift getting booed, she handled it gracefully.
She did.
She handled it gracefully. But that
was funny.
As a Lions fan and somebody who's not really a fan of both of these teams and was rooting for the Eagles, it was kind of funny.
I'm just happy the Chiefs.
It was kind of funny.
And then the Chiefs and their housewives got humbled last night.
The Real Housewives of Kansas City.
That includes Swift. That includes Brittany Mahomes. That includes Jackson Mahomes. I'm just happy they all got humbled last night.
And they had to get humbled. Mm-hmm. Any team can get beat. It's hard to beat a team twice. Heck, it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah.
And Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl. Now this is going to obviously motivate Mahomes further. He is too good of a quarterback, and he's going to push through this for next season.
Andy Reid's too good of a coach.
Andy Reid's too good of a coach. Exactly. Eagles, it felt so good to see people get a ring that I've wanted to see get a ring. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and just so many of those guys.
Smith,
Devontae
Jalen
Smith.
Carter,
Cooper DeJean,
Darius Slay.
It was just awesome to see. Great Super Bowl. Well, not in terms of for the Eagles, it was a great Super Bowl. It was a blowout. Now, this begs the question: will Travis Kelce retire?
I think he would have retired if they won.
I would agree. I think he's got maybe a year or two left in the tank.
I think he's going to try and win another Super Bowl, and if they can't, he's going to call it a career then once they get to the Super Bowl again. I think his plan was to retire if they won and go out on top. And I think he wants to go out on top.
Agreed.
So I think he's going to keep trying to do that.
And if he goes out on top, I mean, the dude's already a 3-time Super Bowl champ with Mahomes. And with all the history he's making, he's a Hall of Famer no matter what.
Oh, easily.
So
I don't like him personally as a player, but
right.
I can respect a good player when I see it, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's a Hall of Famer for sure. So yeah, you make a great point. I think Travis Kelce's going to have maybe a year or two left in the tank. It's going to motivate him further. Eagles, congratulations on winning the Super Bowl. You guys have been a phenomenal team all season, and it's great to see the hard work finally pay off for Sirianni and this Eagles team. But NFL season is over. It just went by like that.
Yes, it is now Pistons playoff
And Red
season.
Wings.
And Tigers.
And Tigers season.
It is Tiger season, but for me, it's Pistons playoff season. We could focus on basketball
For
now.
me, it's Pistons, Wings, playoff push, and Tigers spring training.
All right, well, coming up after this break, we do have Pistons, we do have Red Wings. Little season check-in with the Red Wings. We're going to see how things are going with the Red Wings and the Pistons. Well, that game is bringing back a Card Guys classic. You're not going to want to miss it. You're watching Card Guys Detroit Sports Talk. We'll be back right after this. Sports cards, signed jerseys, signed helmets, and more. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles is your one-stop shop for all things the hobby. Make sure to check them out down Mission Street in Mount Pleasant, right past Meyer. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles. Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Join Michael Rosenkranz,
Sports take precedence over academics.
I agree, but
Ryan Donnelly,
Corbin Burns, who is their big ticket J13 item. Scooble is with us. Scooble's our big ticket.
did
J1.
you just call Tarek Scooble James? And Anthony Schulte.
I have an issue.
you have.
There is no break. It's a constant grind. It's an unbreakable cycle.
Yeah, it's
As they navigate through the Detroit sports landscape. Live Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. on 101.1 The Beat in Mount Pleasant and at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Welcome back, Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Ryan Donnelly, Michael Rosenkranz, and Anthony Schulte here with you on a
Shoe
Monday.
problems this morning.
Did your shoe fall off? How does that happen?
The back of my shoe is rubbing against my ankle.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a returning classic, a Card Guys classic.
I'm gonna let you talk.
It's
This is
time
your segment.
for the Anthony Schulte rant of the day, and this is connected to, guess what? The Pistons, of course.
Grab your popcorn, folks. Grab yourself a drink and get settled in. It's going to be a fun one.
This is directed towards the NBA Officiating Corporation, or whatever they like to call themselves, because it's gross negligence what we're seeing in the NBA when it comes to officiating. It's not just the Pistons, it's not just Beef Stew, it's not just JB, it's everywhere around the association, it's everywhere. You watch any game and you're seeing blatant miscalls, you're seeing malpractice when it comes to the officiating of the beautiful sport of basketball. It's disgusting what we're seeing. What happened last night, what happened yesterday, is a true testament to the absolute utter BS that the NBA referees are on. Let's take a look at this quote. Though unintentional, the contact is too severe to go unpenalized. George Blaha and Greg Kelser both proceeded to be utterly confused. Nobody's ever heard this before. Not even the Hornets broadcasters could believe it. They said they have never heard of this. Has never been said before. Friend of the program, Omari Sankofa, was confused as well. He's never heard that explanation before. It was unintentional, so it's not a foul. That completely negates it being a foul. There is unintentional contact that happens all the time in basketball. If you're going to call that, there's a foul on every single time the ball is in play. There's unintentional contact. Yes, it was a nasty hit to the face, but he was playing the ball. If you're playing the ball, it's not a foul. So they give Stewart a technical because the contact was too severe. That's never happened. I've never seen that in my days as a basketball fan. I've seen unintentional contact to the face, and they say, well, the contact, he was going towards the ball, it was unintentional, therefore there's nothing on the play. There's nothing that warrants a foul. I've seen this season with the NBA officiating towards the Detroit Pistons, they don't like the Detroit Pistons. They don't like JB Bickerstaff. They don't like Isaiah Stewart.
Mostly Isaiah Stewart.
And JB.
Yeah, but
JB Bickerstaff calls out the officiating every single game after the game. He is in the official's ear every single game because there's obvious missed calls. They're obviously not doing their job. So JB's like, so you're going to call, perfect example is when Tobias drove to the lane, the defender threw contact into his body and he missed the dunk. That's a foul. You can't make contact with the body when you're in the air. That is considered a foul. You should be going to the line if you miss your shot. Or even if you make your shot, it'd be an N1. On the next play, literally the next play, in transition, they call probably the weakest foul when all we did was do this. Against the body. When he was going up for a layup. Just that. You can't blatantly miss a call on one end and then directly after give the Hornets this weak call. You can't do that. Either you call both of them fouls or you call neither of them fouls. How are you going to officiate the game? Are you going to let them play? Or are you not going to let them play? You have to make that decision. Most of the time, you should probably just let them play. JB holds them accountable. He doesn't take anything from anyone on the court when it comes to the officials, and they just don't like Isaiah Stewart. And it's blatantly obvious. And I'm getting kind of tired of seeing poorly officiated games, especially in the direction of the Detroit Pistons opponent. It's terrible. It's malpractice. And Natalie Sago, you're terrible at your job. You're terrible. That's the officials rant.
I don't know whether I should clap or not.
That was a classic, and we were anticipating this yesterday on the program.
That's a lot shorter than I thought.
Well, because there's not really much. It was just
other than just repeating points.
Yeah.
When that foul happened, the weak foul that you just described to me, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, so you're gonna call a weak foul against us when Tobias gets stood up and thrown to the ground when he gets somebody's body thrown into him.
You can't throw your body into somebody that's airborne.
I lost my mind during that.
That warrants a foul.
I'm just like, you gotta be kidding
Hold on,
me.
let me ask you this. He wasn't in transition, was he? Was he driving to the basket and he stopped? And I don't remember the play, but...
No, he just drove to the basket, Tobias.
But did the defender...
The defender jumped into his body.
That's a foul.
Exactly.
That's a foul.
That's a foul.
You can't make any
I just saw a
contact with the
video on
body.
it by the NBA Reffing Association, but actually about reffing it about fouls in transition, and that was one of the fouls. If you stop the player's path to the basket and you jump into them, that's a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even their own videos on social media seem to be proving their own officials wrong. It's terrible.
It's been pretty bad in the NBA.
However, that said Pistons game, Pistons still won. They won, but at what cost? Pistons got off to what was that final score in the third quarter? Was it 39-15? I think it was 39 to 15 at the end of the first quarter. After that, the Pistons proceed to get outscored 31-27 in the second, 27-24 in the third, and 29-22 in the fourth. 14-0 run. 15-0 run. The Hornets went on. In the fourth quarter, unacceptable. It's an ongoing theme this season. And you can tell on social media who box score watches and who actually watches
the game.
The box score watches. Oh, great win. The Hornets just beat the Spurs the other night. Oh, what a great win. Great job. Double-digit win.
Anthony, I will let you continue, but when I got done with watching that game and I saw the post on Instagram, it blew my mind how many people were scoreboard watching.
Right.
I'm going on Instagram right now to take a look.
This win,
at how...
yes, it's a win by 10, but I'm absolutely disgusted with how we close out the game.
It's an
I'm
ongoing
disgusted.
theme. It's an ongoing
Kate on an
theme.
MVP run. What W's in the chat?
Well, you're looking at Kate's performances.
Oh, oops. There we go.
Final score.
Above 5. Oh, wait, that's Joseph. I can't give crap to Joseph. Schroeder with the impact. Okay, he did have an impact.
Schroeder did. Schroeder was
He
nice.
did.
They're Detroit basketball. When is the win? And then there's we don't talk about the fourth quarter. Correct.
Yes.
There's we could be better. Correct.
Yeah.
And then there's still like let's go.
For context, the Hornets. Okay, the Hornets are one of the worst teams in the association. They're 13-37. Not as bad as the Pistons were last year, but the Pistons are kind of allowing us to be able to talk about other teams being bad. The Hornets didn't have LaMelo Ball yesterday.
Or Brandon Miller.
Well, Brandon Miller's out for the season.
He is?
Yes, he's out for the season. They didn't have LaMelo Ball yesterday. Before yesterday afternoon's game, the Hornets were 1-16 without LaMelo Ball. They're now 1-17. They had LaMelo Ball for their Spurs win, and that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell people aren't watching, because yes, they did beat the Spurs with LaMelo. LaMelo gives you another 30 points a night. LaMelo gives you more playmaking. Your point guard isn't KJ Simpson. All right. The Hornets played a lineup. They fielded a lineup of Seth Curry, not Steph, his little brother Seth.
Yes.
Miles Bridges, who does not deserve to be in the NBA whatsoever. He does not deserve that privilege. Miles Bridges is a garbage human being.
Yeah, Miles Bridges, enough said.
Tijon Salon, KJ Simpson, and Musa Diabate, who got injured.
Sorry, I love Musa.
He got injured, so then we have Taj Gibson, Pistons legend. Taj Gibson playing a majority of their center minutes.
That's right.
You have Seth Curry having a season-high 26 points on 10 of 17 shooting. He averages 5. Miles Bridges, he had 30, but he really only had 21. He made like 3 threes within the final minute.
Yeah.
To make the game seem closer than it was. I don't count that in my head. Isaiah Wong had 17 points on 6 of 9 shooting. He averages 5. KJ Simpson was a menace the entire game. He was all over I will give credit to KJ Simpson. He played very physical, and he was all over the place. He was a pest. Really annoying when your team's going up against him, but you got to respect it.
Yes, agreed.
The Pistons come out the gate firing, 39-15. I said it looked like they were playing with welfare cheese. Shout out, Grandpa. I said they were playing. It looked like they were playing with their welfare cheese in the first quarter. Why did I say that? I jinxed us. We continue to fall throughout the game. It's an all too common mistake that the Pistons are making. They get a big lead. They play too complacent.
Yep.
They play too lazy. They get too comfortable. Discipline, gentlemen. The Hawks game back in Atlanta. You're up by. They're going on a 9-2, 11-2, 13-2 run in the final 2 minutes to make it a close game, and now you're sweating. Now Cade's got to come off the bench. Now you got to get Tobias Harris's old legs back off the bench. Not good. How about against the Hawks on Monday? We had a lead. Granted, it wasn't that big of a lead. Had a lead down the stretch, gave it away. Trae Young, gamer.
Cleveland.
Friday. Cleveland.
It was back and forth.
It was back and forth. We had probably about a 4 or 5 point lead, and then, of course, we gave it up, and they gamed us as well.
On a half-court shot. It was ridiculous.
Of course, we lose 2 straight games off buzzer beaters.
Only the Pistons.
Only the Pistons.
Friday. We were in attendance for the game, as you can see by his hoodie. Central Michigan night.
Fun night, by the way. That was really good.
It was a fun game.
Clean. And by the way, folks, I just got to pull this out because Anthony and Ryan are awesome. I was away
I'm not
in
that great.
West Virginia, and they picked me up one of these
Yes.
for CMU night. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I owe you guys big time for this.
You don't owe us anything. You got a beautiful hoodie. It is a beautiful.
It is
a beautiful piece of clothing.
I'll say it. Better than the crew quarter zip last year.
It wasn't
I
a
think
quarter
so.
zip. It was a crew neck that said Detroit basketball.
I thought it was
in
a
the colors.
Oh, it was the Red Wings that had a quarter zip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Got my giveaway mixed up. I apologize for my stupidity.
But
Sorry.
Friday we played a basketball game. Cade Cunningham couldn't go. We found out about 20 minutes before tip-off, and everybody was mad. They were all like, well, we wanted to see Cade. We wanted to see Cade. Without Cade, this team doesn't really have a pulse. And boy, were we proven wrong. We thought, we were like, oh, how much are we going to lose by tonight? No. You know how they call us Cade in M? Cade in them?
Yep.
Well, the in them played very well.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Tobias brought out the young legs, as Jalen Duren said, 22. Malik Beasley, as you brought up in your stars, 36 points. We were up by 34 in the third quarter against a healthy Sixers team. You had Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk, saying that the Sixers need to trade Embiid and Paul George in the offseason. That's what the Detroit Pistons minus Cade were doing. Up by 34 in the third quarter. Sixers got within single digits.
You couldn't really keep up with the healthy
Blew
Sixers squad.
a 34-point lead. Now, granted, you didn't have Cade. Sixers were healthy. They had all their stars. And you were running on fumes with your role players. I get it. You still hung on. You won by, I think, 12 or 13.
You won by 12. No, 13. Apologies.
Yeah, I thought it was 125-112.
It was.
You hung on, you won, you still won by 13, you weathered the storm that was inevitable in the Sixers and Tyrese Maxey coming back. Sunday is unacceptable. You blow another lead, another giant lead, and the Hornets, without LaMelo, without Yusuf Nurkic, without Mark Williams, without Musa Diabate, without Brandon Miller, without all these guys, they trade away Micic. Without all these guys, they come back and they get within 2. They go on a 14 or 15-0 run. You go, another thing that's causing all these comebacks, we're going on scoring droughts.
Yep.
Against Cleveland, 8-minute scoring drought. Against the Hawks, 8-minute scoring drought. Against the Sixers, 5-minute scoring drought. Against the Hornets, I think another 5-minute scoring drought. You can't go on scoring droughts. You need to put the ball in the basket. In the name of the game, you can't win without doing it. People say defense wins championships. You got to score points to take the lead. Stop getting too complacent. Work on it. Discipline. Keep your foot on the gas. It's what you need to do if you're the Pistons. What you need to work on. Jalen Duren said they need to work on it. Cade said they need to work on it. Bickerstaff said they need to work on it. I want to see results. I want to see us win a game by 20. We're versing the Bulls twice in the next coming days. Tuesday, Wednesday. I want to see us win by 20 plus and hold on to the lead. Play a complete game, complete 48 minutes of basketball, and don't give up after you're up by 20. Because in the NBA, you're in the NBA for a reason. Any NBA team can come back and bite you where the sun doesn't shine. That's what the Hornets did.
Yep.
A group of G Leaguers. Could have called them the Greensboro Swarm. It was a group of G Leaguers and Miles Bridges and Seth Curry and Taj Gibson. And he let them come back. Unacceptable, but we still won.
I'm not happy that we won.
We still won. I mean, I'm happy we won.
okay.
I'm not happy with how we won.
Listen, I've played this sport, and I've coached this sport for 10 plus years. Friday, I'll give a pass. Obviously, Cade wasn't there, and Malik Beasley just carried this team on his shoulders, on a shoulder, on Friday with 36. Everyone played phenomenal on Friday, despite, we kind of expected, Joel Embiid had a really, really bad first half. I'm going to close the computer because I'm going to get really angry. But Joel Embiid wasn't going to keep it up. He had, 5 points?
9 points.
At the end of the first half?
Or no. He was 1 of 9 shooting.
He was he
was 1 of 9 shooting.
1 of 9 shooting. I think he had 5.
I'm
not
sounds
wrong.
right.
So.
He had 5 points at
4
the beginning
rebounds.
of the first half, and in my mind, I'm like, I told myself, he's not going to keep this up. He's not going to keep this up. He didn't.
Yeah.
He had, what was it, 21 points in the third, 24 points
20
in the third
points.
quarter?
I think he had 24 points in total.
Okay, yeah, so he had 19, 20 points in the third quarter. He was on a heater.
Let's
And the
take
Pistons-
a look. We have that technology. Let's use it.
Yes, we do.
Joel Embiid had 23 points, and 20 of them, he had 3 points
20.
at halftime.
Yeah,
3 points
at
on
half,
halftime.
and then 20 points at the beginning of the third.
Yep, and
Joel
that's all he
Embiid-
scored. He didn't score. He was 0 for 1 in the fourth. He only played 3 minutes. He went to the locker room at the end of the third.
And then he did come back and didn't score a
Yeah.
point in the fourth. But I digress. I knew they weren't going to keep it up. I mean, this Sixers squad at the beginning of the game looked like crap.
They did.
And then they heated up. And then they slowed right back down. The Pistons, like you mentioned, scoring drought. They had a big scoring drought in the third quarter.
But they weathered the storm.
They weathered the storm, so I will give them a pass.
Especially
on the
without Cade.
Yes, agreed. I will give them a pass on Friday. They played well. They played really, really well. Like, they hit their cuts. They found their scoring. They got their scoring well. They created shots without Cade Cunningham. I was very quiet during Friday's game when I was at the game.
Asar point guard.
Because I was so hyper-focused on breaking down this game, and I did later on that night, and it was a very fun breakdown. I like to break down the Pistons games after, because I want to be a basketball coach. Anyways.
Point guard Asar.
Point Asar, he did really well facilitating the offense for that game. Last night was unacceptable. Unacceptable. You're up by damn near 30. Apologies for swearing. You're up by darn near 30. Sure, you can let the Hornets chip back a little bit, but that foot better be on the gas pedal the entire time. Unacceptable. You won by 10. Sure, you won. 27 wins. You're over 500. You're in the 6th seed. I'm happy about the result, but I'm not happy about the way we ended the game. When you're up 39-15 at the beginning of the first quarter, build on it. That's something that we struggle with again too. We have these leads. We're up by 25 plus, and then sure, you can let them. You could let them get 10 unanswered points, and then you should answer right back. At times,
even that Hornets roster shouldn't be scoring 10 in a row on you either.
Absolutely not. But at times, like the Pistons will have like a 25-point lead. They'll chip it back down to 15. And most of the time, they'll let them come back in the game. Unacceptable. You cannot do that.
It's a lack of discipline.
It's a lack of discipline, and I think they play too pretty. They play way too pretty, and they play way too flashy when they're up by so much because they just give up.
I mean, the yesterday wasn't even pretty and flashy. Yesterday was it was lazy, uninspired. It looked like after the first quarter, it looked like they didn't want to be there. They were standing around. They were playing. It looked like they were playing rec league basketball, and all it is just you're just standing around on defense, very lazy on defense, and the offense is very complacent.
They did not make
stagnant.
a single cut. I did not see a player hit a single cut after the first quarter. They had that big lead by 15, and they just gave up. You cannot do that in this sport. I've said this or whatever. I don't care. When you're up by that much, you got to keep your foot on the gas. It royally makes me upset that almost every time we have a lead, we just blow it. This team plays too lazy. This team is so pretty and too flashy that we just blow leads. Sure, we won. I'm happy about the win. Just this team needs some GD discipline. I've played with my dad at basketball. I've played with multiple coaches around the rec league. We were poised on discipline, and we won games because we were so disciplined. I went 10-0 on a team once because we were so disciplined, and we never gave up. JB, you hold your team to a standard. Make sure your team hits that damn standard. It makes me so frustrated when you're up by 30 and then we win the game by 10. Sure, it's a win. I'm not saying the season's a wash at all. I'm so proud of this team. You got to hold them to a standard, and you are. I'm not holding you accountable for that. You got to make sure your players hit that standard. You have a break. You have to get through Chicago. You have to get through Chicago first. and then you have a quick break. Let your players rest. But if I was JB, I wouldn't let them rest. Because you have 3 months in the offseason. But make sure they're disciplined, man. You said in your presser last night, you got to make sure that you told them in your presser that they didn't hit your standard. Make sure they do. Michael, go ahead. Quickly.
When I just watched the end of this game yesterday, I wanted to lose my mind. The Pistons are trying to be a playoff team with aspirations.
We're in the playoffs. We're the sixth seed.
Playoffs. We're the 6th seed right now. We're in the playoffs. You want to get beat in the playoffs? This is how you're going to get beat in the playoffs.
Playoff teams don't play the way they played against the Hornets in those final 3 quarters.
Okay.
No.
They don't, against any team, they don't play like that.
It blows my mind because you guys hit it. There's no discipline on this team. None.
No.
And, oh my gosh, give me a break. Like, how many games are we going to go through where you blow a lead that's just, it's in your grasp? This is like John L. Smith back in 06. MSU and Notre Dame. You build a lead, and then you take your foot off the gas.
Against any other team, you're losing this game.
Charlotte is a folly.
You're lucky you're playing a G League team.
I mean, honestly, if they were playing a different team, they probably wouldn't have played the way they played because they played down to their opponent. They saw LaMelo was out. They saw all of their good players were out other than Seth Curry, Miles Bridges, and I guess Taj Gibson's an NBA player. They saw everybody was out. They got out to that big lead. If we played the way we played in the first quarter, they might not have scored 50. And I'm not kidding.
Probably not.
They might not have scored 50 because we came out the gate. We're like, all right, let's get this big lead. Let's pounce on them, right? They played inspired basketball. They played great basketball when they started out this game. And then the second, third, and fourth quarter hit. And you got too complacent because you didn't respect the opponent in the last 3 quarters. There was no respect for the Hornets players. And as Cade said at the end of the game, they're a scrappy bunch. And when you have a young team of players just trying to make it in the league, you can't underestimate them because they're playing. When you're down by that much, you have nothing to lose.
No.
You have everything to lose when you're up by that much. When I watched this game over, when I got back from the Super Bowl, the little watch party we went to, I watched the most of this game over again. All I saw, every player did the same thing. It was lazy, it was uninspired, and they played down to their opponent. Even Jalen Duren. When Jalen Duren says we're playing down to our opponent, that's an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue. And it's... I have a Pistons story. I post all my thoughts and what goes on in my Pistons mind. I post that to my Pistons story.
I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing after watching 530.
What is it, 8 now or
8.
something?
I want to say it's 538 or something, close to 540. This man's watched too many Pistons games.
Every Pistons game, my fingers get tired from tapping through his story.
In this, I don't think I was watching by myself in my dorm room, and I'm sorry to everybody on my floor because the amount of screaming and the amount of I can't explain how I was reacting to this because it just felt like you couldn't do anything. It was like you're playing 2K and you can't do anything. The Hornets kept scoring on us. We couldn't hit a shot. Hornets keep scoring on us. We turn the ball over. Hornets keep scoring on us. We airball a 3. Hornets keep scoring on us. Offensive foul. Hornets keep scoring on us. When will this end? I made 23 rant posts on my Pistons story yesterday.
My God. I
just counted through them. 23. It felt like every minute they chipped away 5 more points. 5 more points, 5 more points that warranted a rant on my story. It's an issue. It's an issue. Now, with this extremely long segment we just had, you'd think the Pistons are back to their 14-68 ways.
They're not.
We're above 500.
Exactly. We won 2 straight.
There's positives to take away.
Yeah.
But now... And someone told me that I'm not a real fan because I have the expectation of playing inspired and winning basketball now. the Pistons have dug themselves out of the grave of zero standards. You're a playoff team now. Mm-hmm. You're the 6th seed. You have an opportunity right now with the way you've been playing, and you could probably get a couple more wins if you play better. With the way you've been playing, you have the opportunity to skip the play-in. Not even the play-in. You have an opportunity to skip the play-in, have an over 500 record on the season, and make the playoffs. There's a standard now. Mm-hmm. Am I happy with the win? Yes. If we lost this game, if we lost this game, this might be a 2-hour program. I'm happy we won. The vibes are still high because we won. We're over 500. We're going into Chicago, and we could beat Chicago, and we could go into the All-Star break above 500. There's positives. But when you have a standard, and when you have when you're playing winning basketball, and you're in the playoffs, games like this deserve to be critiqued. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be upset. Because if it doesn't anger or upset you, are you a fan? Exactly. I think all three of us have been extremely angry talking about this.
So yes.
Because I'm
disgusted.
The most upsetting thing and annoying thing in basketball is when you play lazy and you give up easy layups, easy 2s, wide open 3s. Why are we leaving Seth Curry open from 3? He's the 5th best 3-point shooter of all time. And we're leaving him wide open. Yes, 5th best 3-point shooter of all time. Career 42%.
Seth Curry?
Seth Curry.
Yeah.
I learned that on the broadcast yesterday. Anyways.
Friday was excusable. Sunday was inexcusable. That's for those who skipped past the Pistons segment.
This is 21 minutes long. I'm making the executive decision right now to move on from the Pistons.
Agreed.
Because we're at 56 minutes. Michael, real quick, you're about to say something.
I was just going to say something pretty stupid, but it's so funny. It's like the Pistons are playing patty cake. Patty cake, Bakers, man.
We were.
Let them back in as fast as you can, airball a 3, miss a layup, play lazy, uninspired defense, and just...
It's angering.
It's had enough.
It makes me angry.
I've had enough.
When you watch enough
I gotta move on.
When you watch enough of it, and it's been happening so much in a recent
especially for those of us who's played this sport. I'll make this quick, but especially for those of us who's played this sport before, and our coaches literally, I've had multiple coaches tell me and my team, don't give up. Keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah, when you get up,
don't give up.
Complacent.
And when I watched what happened last night, I got PTSD from my coaching, not from me playing basketball, of our coaches being like, you're giving up leads, you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. I got PTSD, and it kind of angered me. Watching this game made me a better coach. Because not only was I able to break down a couple of the plays last night, but now I know what to tell my players when, stuff happens like this.
Yeah, so...
We gotta move on.
We have to move on.
We have to.
I agree with your statement, though. I've played basketball. I've coached basketball. I know exactly where you're coming from. It's just angering. And for the people that are saying, the Pistons won. Why are you so angry? Why are you guys yelling? Why are you guys
play
so angry?
Play the sport, and you'll understand
why.
Well,
not only that, but
play the sport.
When your team's winning, and the team is winning, and in the playoffs,
you set an expectation for your
there's
team.
an expectation when what happened yesterday happens. We got to move on from the game. That game didn't happen. Chicago on Tuesday. Boom. Pistons are done.
One more point about
the Detroit Red Wings.
I'm kidding.
The Detroit Red Wings are going into the Four Nations game thing break. Still confused about that Four Nations game.
How does it work?
We'll find out, I guess.
How it works?
So the Red Wings are going in at 28 and 22-5. They're second in the wild card behind Ottawa after their loss. Ottawa won. We lost. Ottawa's at 82 points. We're at 81.
Ottawa's at 62 points. We're at 61.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, 62 points, 61. My numbers are running together here, people. Lost 6-3 to the Lightning. Final game of the nations till the nations break. Looking ahead at the Red Wings, real quickly, guys, real quickly. What needs to happen the rest of the season to make the playoffs?
I would say continue to find a way to... Well, first of all, you got to put yesterday's game behind you. 6-3 in utter demolition by Tampa Bay. And Todd McClellan, you're a wonderful coach, and I get you need to give Cam Talbot a break, but understand, Alex Lyon is not a good goaltender. He is not good. And going against a Tampa Bay team of that caliber, Steve Yzerman's former dynasty, they're going to kill you. Now, usually, we play Tampa Bay pretty well. Not yesterday. Yesterday was not good. And the 7-game winning streak is over. You knew it was going to happen at some point. We're not going to win every single game. And the Red Wings lost to Tampa Bay. But, in terms of going forward, we all know what next month is. It's the month of March. And for those of you who are Red Wings fans that are not living under a rock, you know what happens in the month of March to your favorite original 16.
It's like the Tigers in July.
Yes!
It's like the
Literally.
Pistons against the Hornets.
Yes! Great comparisons! But the Red Wings are notorious for collapsing in the month of March. We've seen it too many times. Keep playing bleeping hockey. Do the little things right. Take care of the puck. Look for your chances. Find a rhythm on offense. Do not get complacent on defense. We know that one too well. And continue to play good hockey. Yzerman's expectation is a wild card spot for the Red Wings. Now that does get you into the playoffs. But you have to continue to prove yourselves, and you have to bounce back from this loss, number one. Number two, continue to play good hockey down the road. Ryan.
I mean, you kind of hit it on the money. I think when we said this last week, and we've said it in the past before, but this team gets really streaky. They'll either win 7 straight, and then they'll lose 4 straight, and then they'll win another 8 straight, and then they'll lose another 3 straight. You have about a week and a half break with this Four Nations face-off, whatever this monstrosity is. You have all this time to rest. This team needs some rest. You just got back from a very long West Coast road trip, and then you get back, and then you lose 6-3 to the Lightning. Now you have a week and a half, 2 weeks off. My expectation, like you said, play bleeping hockey. Got Minnesota on the 22nd in a couple weekends. I mean, your expectation is to win. I think, obviously, if you win a game and lose a game, win a game, lose a game, that's fine. But don't, win 7 and then lose another 7. I think this team is very streaky, like we've said all year. Tom McClellan, you've saved this franchise. I think Stevie Y's seat just got cooler. My expectation right now is to make the wild card. We're second in the wild card in the Eastern Conference. Michael really said it best. This team needs some rest. I think that's all we needed right now.
Well, keep in mind, they got the Stadium Series game as well against Columbus.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They have the Stadium Series, so...
On a back-to-back against the Blue Jackets.
On a back-to-back against the Blue Jackets. So, unfortunately, this team may not get as much rest as we'd hoped.
I will say...
They are going to get some rest, but it may not be as much as we hoped.
Looking forward, the schedule looks easy. Wild, Anaheim, Columbus twice, Utah Hockey Club, Ottawa, Buffalo, Carolina. This schedule on paper, you're not really playing a bunch of difficult teams, but
Yeah, you got the Panthers again in April. You got the Lightning again in April.
Yep.
You got the
Knights twice.
You got the Stars, and
you got the Stars.
You got the Leafs to close out the regular season. So you have your fair share of difficult teams. You got the Bruins at the end of March. So you have your fair share of difficult teams.
It's like the opposite at the beginning of the year, where you played a bunch of hard teams and then you had the easy teams sprinkle in. This time, it's a bunch of easy teams, but you got those hard teams sprinkle in. I think we could finish it out and make the playoffs. Obviously, my expectation is wild card, because the bare minimum. I have a bare minimum for the Red Wings, but just keep playing how you've been playing, man. I think McClellan is making sure that these guys don't fall in a slump like Lalonde did, and I think we have a chance to make the wild card. We're at a comfortable spot. We built a cushion. Now build on that cushion. You made the frame for the bed. Now build the bed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair analogy. All right, well, very rushed Red Wings segment because we all decided to yap about the Pistons.
What I say on the car ride back yesterday, Super Bowl segment will be short, Red Wings segment will be short. The Pistons segment will be like 20 to 25 minutes long.
And that's
we
exactly
hit,
what
we
happened.
hit that prediction pretty good.
Yeah, we hit that. I mean, that's what happens when you got two very inspired Pistons fans sitting here, and then Michael's starting to watch along now too because of us, and now he's starting to go through the same thing we're going through.
Yep. I was even watching last year, and I've been watching, on and off for a few years, and I've played basketball as well, and Ryan, like you, I was on an undefeated 8-0 team, and in the championship game, we made it to the championship game, and the score was 27-6. We were down at halftime, and we came back to win the game.
Let's go.
You talk about keeping your foot on the gas and not giving up. If we can do it in rec league, and Anthony played basketball in high school, if we can do that there,
You too.
he did play AU. There's no excuse for an NBA team not to. Okay, we got to stop talking about the Pistons because this is now over an hour long.
The show's over an hour long. I do want to make it known though. We're still happy we won.
Oh,
yes.
It doesn't
100%.
sound like we're happy we won. It's just against any other team, we're losing by 20.
I'm happy we're
Anyways.
over 500 again. I'm happy we won 2 straight. I'm happy we're the 16th.
Who would have expected the day after the Super Bowl that the Pistons would be the talking point of the program?
They had the best game in America.
It was the better game of the day. I will say that. All right, that's all we have for today's show. Thank you for tuning into Card Guys Season 4, Episode 8 on 101.1 The Beat and YouTube. Tune in Wednesday as we preview NBA All-Star Weekend, which is coming up, and I'm very excited. Cade Cunningham's in the three-point contest. Who would have guessed that? Not me, but he is an all-star. For my good buddies Ryan Donnelly, Michael Rosenkranz, I'm Anthony Schulte saying so long, everybody.
Love you, Mom and Dad. Hopefully Alex Bregman signs soon.
If you're some man!